Today on Commander Replay, we try out Zurgo Helm Smasher Boardwipe Tribal. Can we boardwipe our way to victory past Zurgo, Grunn, and Kami of the Crescent Moon? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I want to take a quick second to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have a new Patreon supporter, Evan Treon. Evan, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Zurgo Helm Smasher comes from Patreon supporter Matthew. He has supplied some powerful gems in the past, like Zakama Storm, Azami, and Lizard Tribal. So today we'll be playing Zurgo Helm Smasher, interestingly a commander that I've never played, which seems odd, given how much I like attacking. This will be my first experience with it today. It is a powerful commander. I've been run over by it many times. So very good commander, and that's what we'll be running today, joined by 3 Patreon supporters, and that's going to bring it to our turn 1. So we draw an Erebos, God of the Dead. We have a Mana Crypt in our opener. We're going to get that Mana Crypt down. We're going to get this... Let's get this Plains down, get the Chromatic Lantern down, and a pass like that. I'm not even sure what we Vampiric Tutor for, honestly. I'll probably just go for Erebos and use that to draw a lot of life. So as I mentioned, I'm joined by 3 Patreon supporters this game. First up, we have Chaotix2075, also piloting Zurgo Helm Smasher. That was unintentional. I just said bring something pretty strong and fast. So out they brought the Zurgo. Next up, we have Doc Chalk playing Grunn the Lonely King. That should be an interesting one. Grunn gets really big. Oh, hey. Going to lay down a Dissenter's Deliverance on our Mana Crypt. It's going to slow down our start pretty significantly. But at least we still got the 1 mana rock into play, so we got some acceleration going, and we can follow up with a Signet. And then finally, we have Archangel227 playing Kami of the Crescent Moon, a really interesting one. Being that this is supposed to be strong decks, a little worried about what Kami can do. Blue decks drawing extra cards, pretty good. It means I'm expecting some sort of combo finish. There's a spellbook coming down, yeah. So it brings it back to our turn. We get to draw an extra card with the Kami. We'd find a land and a Toxic Deluge. Let us play. We have a bunch of shock lands. I guess it doesn't matter, really. So play the Godless Shrine. Still, I'm going to go untapped. I'm going to get the Signet in, and we'll go for something with the Vampiric Tutor. Not exactly sure what it's going to be yet. Kind of react a little bit to what our opponents might be doing. We have a Sire of Insanity in our deck, which, I don't know, maybe that's not the best if Kami's still in play. Could be interesting, though. Could be a good way to stop combos. One thing to talk about, I tend to look at a lot of Boros lists, and one of the things that I notice that I don't do, that some people do, is they will play very cheap artifact and enchantment removal. I actually can't even think of the name of the cards now. You can play something like Crush if you really need to get rid of a mana rock on 1. There's also the Evoke creature, can't think of the name. Blow up a mana rock for 1 red mana. Things like Disenchant also. For me personally, I prefer to go for Wear Tear, Crush Contraband, Return to Dust. But those are expensive. If someone has a turn 1 like the one we just had, those can actually be really slow if you don't also have mana rocks to get your stuff into play quicker. So, you know, things like Dissenter's Deliverance, Disenchant, those cheaper artifact and enchantment removal cards, they do have a time and a place, and I probably don't give them quite enough time of day, like I should. Oh, I got talking, forgot to use that Vampiric Tutor. Whoops. Well, we'll use that later. We draw into a Mogus, a Divine Reckoning, and an Underworld Connections. Underworld Connections probably not going to be the most helpful right here. Play the Sacred Foundry. Let us get our Zurgo Helm Smasher. Who do I find the most threatening? Zurgo, I think it's got to be Kami. Kami's going to have some sort of combo finish. And the question is really how quickly do we think they're going to get to it? Oh, ha! Opponent beast within our commander, but our commander is indestructible during our turn, so we get a beast token. So anyway, we're going to go to combat, and into the Kami opponent we go. Here comes a Tiana Ship's Caretaker for the Zurgo opponent. Interesting. They could be going more of an equipment route. I have seen that with Zurgo in the past. Oh, this deck, by the way, is chock full of removal. I didn't even count, but there were a lot of board wipes in this thing. So, creatures are not the things that we should be worried about, I don't think. So Grunn lays down a Guardian Project. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature in your graveyard, draw a card. So essentially every time they play a creature, they will get to draw a card. Seems pretty good. Jace's Archivist coming down for the Kami opponent, and it's going to bring it back to our turn. On our upkeep, we're going to play this Vampiric Tutor. We've got board wipes in hand already. This deck mostly just board wipes. I don't actually know what else we need per se. Sire of Insanity is interesting. Oh, there's even more. I actually missed a couple in the earlier parts of the mana curve, so probably about 25 board wipes in this deck. That's crazy. Infiltration Lens, huh? We should be drawing a lot of cards. Maybe I should have just waited on this thing. I don't know. Well, we accelerated a lot, so let's get Avacyn. Avacyn counteracts many of our board wipes. So we draw Avacyn, we draw a land, we draw an Austere Command, play the Blood Crypt untapped, swing into the Kami opponent. Probably could have played that tapped, honestly. Kami, 14 commander damage and 26 life. It is turn 4. Zurgo's pretty good. Zurgo is a pretty good commander. We could play this Divine Reckoning. Opponent would have the choice between Kami and the Jace's Archivist. Not sure which way they go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mana, which isn't quite enough. Do we Toxic Deluge for 2? Or I guess we would go for 3. Yeah, I think we do, honestly. I don't really want the wheel to land. So we will pass turn like that. Plus we got an additional card off the Kami that our opponents won't get this turn cycle, but Howling Mind's still in play. So opponent lays down a Cryptghast, and also a Swiftfoot Boots. Does not have enough mana to equip the Swiftfoot Boots. There's a Freyalise. Ooh, that's interesting. Opponent goes with the plus mode. Interesting. People always go with the plus mode on Freyalise, even though, like, there's usually something on board that should be getting shot down with the minus mode. Like, I see that so often. Opponent should have either shot Howling Mine or one of our mana rocks. I know it's tempting to go for that ultimate, but I don't know. What's it take? 3 turns to get there, assuming that nothing damages Freyalise? I have seen it go off, and it is good, but it doesn't necessarily win you the game either. I don't know. I'm more about that value right now of getting rid of something of your opponent's, as opposed to creating a very, very fragile 1/1 green elf. There's a No Mercy. That should keep people from attacking us. We can destroy all enchantments if we need to. Only 1 enchantment on the battlefield. That's the Guardian Project, so not too worried about that. Play the Bloodstained Mire. Check on our mana. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Blue opponent's holding up mana, which means if we just try to slam Zurgo, I don't think it's getting through. So I think we go for this Mogus right here. Yep, opponent gonna rewind. Sure. Yeah, I didn't think Zurgo was getting through. And then we'll go for this Underworld Connections. Wonder if it's a counterspell deck or if they just happen to have a few counterspells in there. Put that on this Blood Crypt. Don't know that we'll necessarily be needing it with Kami at the table and a Howling Mine in play, but just in case we do, it's there. And we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, so might as well be as mana efficient as possible, and we have no instant speed effects, so just using all the mana, trying to be efficient. Oh, that's an Elesh Norn. See, that's what I'm talking about. Why make this fragile 1/1 green creature when you can blow up something important? I mean, that's the one you want to counter. Well, I guess it's not that big of a deal. So, with Elesh Norn in play, Zurgo, we can't cast our Zurgo. It will immediately die. But, as I mentioned, we have more than 20 board wipes in the deck, and at least 1 in hand, plus some other types of removal in hand already. Not too worried about it. If possible, I would like to save this Austere Command, though, at least until we get Avacyn down. Opponent going to swing into us with the Elesh Norn, sure. And send the Cryptghast at the Grunn. Probably should have swung into the Freyalise, honestly. So we're down to 25. Means probably No Mercy next turn. We can go Avacyn or we can go No Mercy. Depends. Blue is probably going to be reasonably good against Avacyn because Mass Bounce. Avacyn does not protect you from Mass Bounce. However, if we get Avacyn down and then we can set up a board wipe on the following turn, that sounds pretty good too. Beneath the Sands. Search your library for a basic, put it on the battlefield tapped. Shuffle your library. Has cycling. Nice. So Freyalise's going to minus shoot the boots on the Elesh Norn. Seems like a pretty good idea. Scroll Rack for the Kami opponent. That seems good when they have many, many cards in hand. With the ability to draw more. Going to use that Scroll Rack. Find all the things they need. Kami going to play a Jace Beleren. Nice. Party Jace. Going partying. Each player is going to draw a card. We draw a land. Good. Want to keep making those land drops. Since opponent's tapped out, I mean, they probably have free counter spells, but I'm going to try the Avacyn. There's a Tariel. Tariel's cool. Well, I guess opponent's less likely to counter a No Mercy. Yeah, No Mercy is a safer play, I think. So play the Swamp. Go for Erebos first, because Erebos will probably draw counters. So try the Erebos. That gets through. Then we'll go for No Mercy. No Mercy gets through, and this should actually make Erebos into creature form. So now we have an indestructible blocker. So No Mercy and the Erebos should keep creatures from coming our way. At least unless opponents have removal, which, yeah, 9 cards in hand, they might. About 25 total cards in hand for our opponents. Yep, probably some removal. That's an Argentum Armor. That's removal. Opponent looks to be... Is it whenever you tap a swamp? Oh, no, they have exactly enough for the Argentum Armor. Bummer. So we're going to equip the Argentum Armor. Oh, nice. Wow, that's huge. So the Grunn opponent Crescent grips the Argentum Armor. That's a good place to be. Because now we've got blockers, and now we're not going to get attacked. That exchange worked out beautifully. So Cryptghast into the Freyleys and Elishnorn into the Grunn opponent. Sounds good. So with that play right there, if the Argentum Armor stuck, they could shoot the No Mercy, and that would unanimate the Erebos. And yeah, that would have been bad, because then opponent probably would have came in for 8, and that would be a lot of our life. Argentum Armor is a super sweet card, but even in equipment-based decks where I have tons of free equip cards and, you know, ways to kind of cheat that cost, it's still really hard to get going. So few times have I actually gotten Argentum Armor equipped and able to attack with it. Now, in the few that I have, and especially since it's on Aurelia, the game just ends, but... You blow up anything of relevance, and also, on Aurelia, that's 9 commander damage coming in each attack, so if I've hit opponents at least once, then that's lethal commander. Yeah. Party Jace going partying again. Everyone's going to draw a card. We draw another land. Opponent's having some funny exchanges about the Crescent Grip play and Argentum Armor, but the answer was not in the form of a question. Opponent plays a War Tax. This turn, creatures can't attack unless their controller pays X for each attacking creature they control. Ooh. That's a card. That is a card. Yeah, we need to get this Avacyn down. We need it to not get countered or removed. Growing Rites of Itlimoc into play for the Grunn opponent, by the way. That's a really good one. I know they don't have creatures yet, but it's a green deck. It's not hard to get creatures into play. Brings back to our turn. There's a Cabal Coffers. How many swamps do we actually have? We have 1 swamp. That can find a swamp. That is a swamp. That's a swamp. So we can actually net just a teeny bit of mana, which could be relevant. So crack the Bloodstained Mire. Get the Badlands. Badlands into play. Play the Cabal Coffers. Does anyone have an Urborg down? Do not see any Urborgs at the moment. But with all the card draw, may not take us too long to find one. If we play our commander, then opponent just goes with the War Tax. Alright, so I think we go for Avacyn right here. So we have 4 black mana. And we can draw an extra card with the Underworld connections if we need to. Or we could even use Erebos, but Erebos is 2 life compared to the Underworld connections, which is 1. So, ooh, nice. Avacyn makes it into play. No counter spells. Avacyn's still a pretty big target, so I'm actually just going to leave Erebos back on defense. Because then to get through, opponents would have to get through Avacyn and Erebos, which, like a Cyclonic Rift could do. But the other opponents, I think, would have trouble getting rid of both items. Opponent tapping up for a lot of mana. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's a Zurgo. And Kami opponent is going to War Tax on the Zurgo opponent. So creatures will have to pay 3 mana to attack per creature. Opponent does have that much mana. Sadly, some of it's in their pool, which will be a little bit awkward for them. Ooh, that's a Sword of Light and Shadow. That's a good one. We have black and white creatures, primarily. That gets through all of our defense. Whenever a creature deals damage, you destroy it. Zurgo is indestructible. I think we're about to take... Yep, here comes Zurgo for 11. Ooh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. We cannot block. This does mean we're gonna have to be careful about our card drawing with Underworld connections, and it may not even be worth it. Honestly, I think at this point I'd rather just have additional life at our disposal. Whew. Down to 13. Rough. See what the green opponent's up to this turn. Bane of Progress will be awesome. So Kami's turn, they are up to 10 cards in hand. That is a lot. Grunn the Lonely King coming into play with 5 counters on it. Here comes a Mystical Tutor. Oh, this is going to be bad. Opponent's got exactly 7. Yup. Reveals a Cyclonic Rift. That's not good. Draws the Cyclonic Rift with Jace. Opponent wants us to leave them alone. Sure. So opponent's just going to pass like that, leaving up the Cyclonic Rift mana. Yup. It's going to bring it back to our turn. We get to draw an additional card off the Howling Mine. There's a Demonic Tutor. I don't really know what's in the deck. I think step 1, though, is going to be try this Austere Command. So let's get a land into play. Let's try this Austere Command. We're going to go for artifacts and big creatures. So that resolves. Nice. I think our best bet is going to be swing into the other Zurgo opponent. They can recast Zurgo. Ooh, they can recast Zurgo with haste. Ooh, Jace's... Opponent will rift if we try to take down the Jace. That'll be for another day. So we'll send the Avacyn into the Zurgo. Should have played a Swamp this turn for the Cabal Coffers. Oops. Would love to find that Urborg. Gonna keep the Erebos back on defense. Nice thing now is that discard. So we have to discard a hand size, get rid of this mountain. Nice thing now is that here comes Trailblazer's Boots. Oh, that's a pretty good one with Zurgo. We can't be taking too many more hits like that. Ooh, opponent's going to Tectonic Edge our Cabal Coffers, so I guess the Swamp thing not going to matter. Oh, never mind. It is indestructible. So opponent just strip mine themselves, essentially. Good old Avacyn. Opponent's going to crack a Myriad Landscape. Yep. We are going to need to be careful with them. That's the second indestructible punt of this game. Here's Champion of the Flame. Gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. Yep. Ooh, there's a sort of Feast and Famine in this deck. With the Cyclonic Rift, that's going to be tough to get down. Tate of the Twin Gods, Chain Reaction. There's an Ugin. Ugin's always cool. Opponent plays a Vigor, gets to draw. Vigor is a very good one. Chariot of Victory. Chain a creature has first strike, trample, and haste. Yep. Seems good when opponent recasts their commander. Really want some life gain. Cultivate for the mono green opponent. Soren Markov is a card. Ooh. We can go for a Crackling Doom. So opponent does not end step the Cyclonic Rift, and this is going to be interesting. Oh, they have a Reliquary Tower. Oh, so they still have no max hand size. Elixir of Immortality coming down. Yep. Party J's going to go partying. There's an Iroas. Opponent wants him to rift now and then counter the Avacyn when I try to recast it. Not going for it, though. Oh, I don't know what to do this turn. So comes back to our turn. Draw a Temple. Play a Swamp. So, I mean, Zurgo can do a lot to us. Trailblazer's Boots kind of an issue. Jace can ultimate. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but they could. Again, I would really love some life gain. Not sure how does Sire of Insanity care about hand size? No. At the beginning of each end step, each player discards their hand. Then there's exactly enough to cast Zurgo and equip the Boots, plus Vigor as Trample. Oh, yeah, this is all bad. This is all bad. Oh, actually, no, I know what to do. Okay, so I think we need to force the Cyclonic Rift. Gonna swing into the Jace. I assume that opponent's gonna rift for the Jace. Nope, just lets the Jace go. Interesting. Didn't expect that to work. Ooh. Well, Guess that means we demonic... Yeah, I think we demonic tutor for the Crackling Doom. Something instant speed to get rid of Zurgo. Stop Zurgo from hitting us. Tap up the Cabal Coffers. Use the demonic tutor. Yeah, I'm going to get the Crackling Doom because we do need to protect ourselves. We'll play the Iroas right here. Oh, I think we should be able to... Yeah, we can also play this Cleansing Meditation. Yeah, let's do that. This will destroy all enchantments as threshold. If 7 or more cards in your graveyard destroy all enchantments, then return all cards in your graveyard destroyed this way to the battlefield. So War's Toll down, and then I think we pass like that. So we actually got rid of a lot of tools of the blue opponent this past turn. We got rid of their Jace, we got rid of the War's Toll, and the turn before that we got rid of all their artifacts, so... Their graveyard's starting to pile up a bit. All they really have at this point, they just have lands in play, and they're basically just sitting on a Cyclonic Rift, which, like, we just don't have a lot for, and if, depending on how opponent times it, could be really bad for us. So we're going to play a Hammer of Nazan, and the Champion of the Flame is now a 5/3. Put the Trailblazer's Boots on the Champion of Flame. Okay. Ooh, here comes a Tajik Legion's Edge. Protects them against burn spells. Prevent all non-combat damage. Doesn't affect our Crackling Doom at all, so that's fine. Why does it have Indestructible? Oh, Crackling Doom still doesn't care. Oh, right, the Hammer gives Indestructible. Right. Opponent going to swing into the green opponent. Sounds good to me. Yeah, probably not wanting to lose Champion of the Flame to No Mercy, even though that will put us to really low life. So, Grunn down to 25. Considering we have a bunch of strong decks in this game, game's actually going a bit longer than I thought. We're at turn 10 already. I would have assumed that someone would have been out of the game already, but has not worked out that way. I guess the threat of a Cyclonic Rift looming and the, I guess, multiple Boardwipe effects we've played up to this point will prolong the game some. Good news, too, that we got rid of that Growing Rites of Itlamok, because if that thing flipped over, that would have been trouble. Still has a Nykthos Shrine the Nyx, but that one's at least just a little bit harder to make insane amounts of mana with. Not much harder, but ever so slightly harder. Maybe not even that much harder. Maybe it's just really good, and we're going to get blown out by it here in a second. There's Grunn the Lonely King coming back to play with kicker. It's a 10/10. Gonna put the Chariot on it. Yep. Now has First Strike, Haste, and Trample. Pretty threatening. And it will double its power when it attacks. Here comes the old Cyclonic Rift. Question I have is, do we Crackling Doom now, or do we save it? If we Crackling Doom now, Grunn goes back to the command zone, and then it'll be, what's that? That's 7 plus 6 is 13? 13 to recast it, which means that they then can't use the Chariot all in the same turn. We could get rid of this Champion of the Flame, Opponent doesn't have haste over there, though. I'm thinking we save it? I don't know. Yeah, I think we still got to save it because of Zurgo. Zurgo is still really threatening. So in that case, I'm going to draw with the Underworld Dreams. We draw Soren Markov. Nice. Do we draw again? I don't know. 2 life? Feels like a lot. Here's something to think about, though. How much mana does opponent have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Zurgo's on 7, I think. They'll have exactly... If they make another land drop, they'll have exactly enough to play Trailblazer's Boots. Yep, okay. So, gonna hold on to the Crackling Doom. Okay. Everything gets bounced. Ooh. And mono green opponent gonna have to discard down to hand size. Rough. Yeah, you do not want people Cyclonic Rifting during your turn, especially if you've already tapped out mana. It's a really bad time. Opponent taps up 10 mana. Oh, that's an Omniscience. Do we have enchantment removal? Currently, does not look like we do. Well, it's going to be interesting. Oh, that's an Enter the Infinite. Yep, I think they're going to win. I don't know why it bothers me so much. Like, it's just a win condition, but like, the Omniscience Enter the Infinite win condition to me is just so annoying. Especially because it always just goes into Lab Maniac, and it just, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a frustrating win condition. And that's the problem. So this deck is built to just absolutely punish creature-based decks. And I think the Sire of Insanity is the only real play against combo. So obviously Matthew is going for a certain aesthetic with his deck, which is just to be Boardwipe Tribal. But if you wanted to shore up your matchup against something like that, like something like Emrakul is really good. It's trigger, and it's super difficult for them to counter that. If we go to Demonic Tutor for Emrakul or something like that, that gets by that Cyclonic Rift, and also if they Cyclonic Rift and Emrakul, then it's going to happen again. So Lab Maniac can play, opponent's going to windfall, and they win the game. Boo sauce, yeah. Those mono blue win conditions, and I mean, I knew that going in, that if you say strong decks and someone brings a blue deck, you're probably looking at a Lab Maniac win, and Lab Maniac wins usually mean Omniscience and Enter the Infinite. So anyway, this is Zurgo Helm Smasher Boardwipe Tribal by Patreon supporter Matthew. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.